Health isn't complicated. It's corrupted. Endless supplements, eat the rainbow, everything in moderation, count your calories. You hear all this conflicting advice, and it makes it very hard to decide what to do. I mean, let's just stop real quick for instance, when they say everything in moderation. You're telling me if you eat everything on the standard American diet in moderation, you're going to have a good outcome. I mean, and if you're going to go by that logic, everything in moderation, a little bit of crack, moderate amount of crack, moderate amount of rat poison, and chase it down with a moderate amount of tequila, and that's going to give you optimal health. No. You have to step back and actually look and see, every time you put anything in your mouth, whether it be a medication, a supplement, or food itself, it's doing one of two things. It is either adding to your health or taking away from your health. If you put something into your body, just like, because, your car has a gas tank. This is an easy point to make if you're thinking about this. If you gave it premium, clean fuel, is that car going to have any problems? Is it going to have any problems? Probably not. Probably, if it is, it's not going to be because of the fuel. But if you went and you put gas in your car that had a bunch of toxins and debris mixed in with it, on day one, is it going to just break down? Probably not. If it was a manageable amount low, you got filters and you got other things throughout that. But if you continue to push that through on an everyday basis, even in moderation, what is the outcome going to be? The problem in modern medicine these days is that it's built for profitability. And think about it. Think about it from a hospital standpoint, for instance. If someone comes in and they have two options, they can either give them something that will completely cure them as a one-time deal, or they can diagnose them and get them to start a prescription that they're going to have to maybe take for the rest of their life, or do a surgery that's going to require follow-up visits and it's going to require ongoing, which one's more profitable? At the end of the day, a hospital is a business. And so at the end of the day, they are calculating how can we maximize profitability. Same with these big insurance companies that are, a lot of these big insurance companies, they tell you have to go see only this doctor because this is who's in network and this is who's not in network. You go to the doctor, he does all his tests, he says this is what your diagnosis is, and here's the medicine I want to give you. Well, you go down to the pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist, so trust me, I've seen this side of it plenty of times. You go down to the pharmacy, when you get down there, the pharmacist or someone on the pharmacy team tells you, oh, I'm sorry, your insurance is not allowing that to go through. They don't want to pay for that one. Even though your doctor said you need it, even though you were clearly diagnosed and it's necessary, they have decided that they don't want to pay for it. So you're going to have to try something else. And so then, at the pharmacy level, we got to reach out to the doctor and let them know. Sometimes they can go through a big prior authorization approval process to where they can basically appeal it and get it paid for. But ultimately, at the end of the day, insurance is determining which doctor you're going to, what tests he can run on you, which medication he can prescribe, and it's profitable from top to bottom. And that's the whole reason why they tell you have to go here, here, and here, is because it maximizes profitability for them. So stop and think about that, and take your health into your own hands, because if you leave it to the mercy of a corrupt system, you're going to end up trapped in there. A lot of times I'll see people that'll develop a problem, and they'll go to the doctor and tell them what the symptom is, and the doctor will go, oh, that's your symptom. Okay, well, they won't go any further than that. They won't try to go find what the root cause is. Oh, you got a symptom. Okay, well, we got a pill for that. Go take it. Patient comes, picks it up. They start taking it. A month or two goes by, and all of a sudden they got this weird side effect from the drug. It's kind of helping, but now they got this side effect. They go back to the doctor, and he gives another pill for the side effect. And it can kind of turn into a vicious cycle. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with someone who's been otherwise healthy. All of a sudden they walk in the door of the pharmacy. I get to know them. They get started on something, and fast forward 3 to 5 years and they're on a half a dozen things. And if you talk, how you feeling? Is this medicine working? Do you feel like you're better? And they're like, no, I'm not better at all. In fact, now I've got to go see 5 different specialists, and I've got to come see you multiple times a month to stay on these things. I've got all these different side effects. I've developed new symptoms that I never had. And I'm not feeling better. In fact, I feel like I'm just trapped, like I'm stuck. And that was me. I got pretty sick. I ended up being diagnosed with an autoimmune chronic inflammatory condition. It's called ankylosing spondylitis. It's a close cousin to rheumatoid arthritis. And I found myself in that exact predicament as a pharmacist, but also as a patient, fully trusting in this model, and it failed me. I mean, I lived with it for more than a decade, and it eventually got so dire that I was told by multiple medical professionals that I might not be here in the near future if something doesn't give. Made me get desperate, made me start challenging some of the things I believed and some of the things that we hear. And I learned shortly after that my problem, the root cause of my problem, was what I was putting in my mouth. And when I changed the quality of that fuel, it literally changed the whole thing. Now, when I found out that the diet that I needed to do through various tests and direction was carnivore, I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. There's no fiber. How the heck am I'm going to be constipated immediately? It's got all this saturated fat, and it's, they tell you how bad it is for your heart health and for all these other things. And so I was very, very skeptical, but I was also very desperate. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go find out as much information I can about this. Why does it work? Why is it helping? There's so many people saying it's helping them. Why are they saying that? Are they just brainwashed every time they eat a ribeye and they're just tricked into thinking it's working, or is it actually doing something? So I went and found a book called Carnivore Diet written by Dr. Sean Baker, and he's an MD, and he ran into this in his own practice as an orthopedic surgeon. He had people that would show up, either obese or not, and he'd do some scans, x-rays, whatever, of their knees, and they'd be bone on bone, and he'd slate them up to do bilateral surgery. But he was seeing some benefit by these people going on this carnivore diet. And so he'd say, but you know what? You might try the carnivore diet for the next 3 to 6 months. You might not need surgery. You might, like for now, we'll keep it scheduled, but let's reconvene here in 3 to 6 months. And I mean, he saw remarkable effects of people coming in pain-free, walking with no cane, even though they came in with maybe 2 canes on the first visit. And they're like, Doc, my knee don't hurt. Do I still need surgery? And he's like, there's no pain at all. And they're like, none. And he's like, well, then no, you don't need surgery. And that's what compelled him to write the book. Anyway, read it, and it basically simplified it down that it is a complete nutrition. It is a whole food. In fact, it's got more vitamins, minerals, and nutrients than any other food on the planet. It is the most dense, nutrient-dense food on the planet, especially fatty cuts of beef. And if you will go on an extended, 30 days at least, sometimes longer, it depends on how sick you are. It's the meat itself is not magical. If that was the case, you could go to any steakhouse in the world, or even McDonald's, and just order a burger with the fries and the shake, and the meat would just fix everything. That's not what happens. The reason why carnivore works is because you get exactly the fuel that you need and nothing else. No sugar, no grains, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives, no seed oils, no ultra-processed stuff, none of the extra garbage. And that is where the magic is. The magic is in your body's ability to heal itself. Your body was built to heal. It was not just meant to manage symptoms and take a pill for the rest of your life. If the symptom is returning, that is because something is causing the symptom to persist. And more than likely, if you're in America, it has to do with some metabolic thing. It's something you're probably eating. So I hope that was helpful to somebody today, guys. If you got anybody that needs to hear this, please share it. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. Until next time, guys, stay good.